Okay, today is May 5th, 2014. I'm Susan West, and I'm in Hatteras Village talking with MichaelPeele. Michael, what is your birth date?
I was born on July the 20th, 1952.
And where were you born?
I was born in Buxton, North Carolina.
Okay. At a hospital or?
Hospital. At where the Fisherman Center is.
Okay.
It was, I guess, a county-run hospital.
Really?
And my father's father's sister was my nurse. That was Waylon Jeanette's mother.
Okay. Okay. What was your dad's name?
William Maxton Peele.
And your mom?
Juanita Fulcher Peele.
Okay. And where does your middle name is Odin? So where does that come in?
My grandmother, one of her aunts was Moji Odin.
What was the name?
Moji.
Moji?
Moji. I do not know how to spell it. It's M-O-D. She's the oldest known grave on the island, I believe. Down there by L.B. Fulcher's.
Really?
Cemetery. Mojiana.
Okay. Do you know when she died?
I can go find it.
Okay. Well, we don't have to do that, but that's...
Very early 18s.
Wow.
You want me to go get it?
That's okay. We'll get that later on. So your family is how far back here on Hatteras Island?
At least 1700s.
Wow.
I have a deed for my piece of land right here. Somebody told me it was from the King of England, but we were 1822.
Whoa.
So.
And that was your father's family here in Hatteras Village.
Right where we're sitting right now. This big piece all the way to the Monarch Club.
Okay. And your mother was a Fulcher.
And from Frisco.
From Frisco.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they were both born here.
No, my mother was born in Virginia Beach.
Oh.
And moved to Long Island, New York.
Okay. Why? What did her parents do?
Her mother was from up there. And I guess my grandfather worked on in the ship seaport. He was a barber.
He was a barber.
And then after they were born and moved up there to Flushing, New York, his parents got sick or elderly, and his father or somebody told him if he moved to Buxton and took care of him, he could have the homestead.
Okay.
Which was there where the Eddie's ice cream shop is.
Okay.
And it was a bar called the Bucket of Blood.
At where the ice cream shop is, there was a bar.
Used to be an old house there called the Bucket of Blood.
Okay.
And
was that before your time, or do you remember?
The bar was.
Okay.
Right. But the house, the building was. That's where we live there, and they tore that down and built the house that's there now. And I still have the seals to it. So they said the house was over 150 years old when they tore it down.
Oh. So that's where you lived growing up?
No, we always lived right here. Well, my mother then was married in, let me see here. My sister was born in 49, 47. I think my mother and him got married and they moved to the Durant Coast Guard Station.
Okay.
And they were married there, and that's where my brother was born.
Okay.
I believe he was born in Hatteras.
Well, what kind of work did your dad do?
Fish.
He fish?
We easily said 5 generations.
Wow. And what kind of work did your mom do?
She restaurant worked pretty well all of her life. She worked at every restaurant on the island. She Kentucky Fried Chicken for a lot of years.
Okay. In Buxton?
In Buxton.
Okay. And then the Channel Bass restaurant?
In the Channel Bass, she was a hostess. She worked at the captain's table.
Okay.
which is a quarterdeck now.
Okay. And your father's father and your mother's father, did they both fish?
They did years ago.
Okay. And who else in your family was a fisherman?
My brother fished, and all my uncles were heavy fishermen.
Okay. And your uncles, what were their names?
One was Nacie Peele. Okay. And one was Wallace Peele.
And what kind of fishing did they do, Michael?
They fished in the ocean, they fished gill nets, they long hauled, and they set netted, and they pound netted.
Okay. Did one of those uncles start the fish house?
My Uncle Lee started a fish house years ago, and then both uncles started it or redone it later on, and then now it's come to me.
Okay. Do you know when they had that building built, when they started the fish house there?
And the fish house that's there now was put there in 1978.
Was there one before that? A fish house?
Small fish house, off and on.
Okay. And do you know what happened to the fish that was brought in there, where it went?
They would take and put them in wooden fish boxes and paint their name on them, and they went to Fulton Fish Market.
Okay.
They had a stencil that they painted their names on the cartons.
Okay. So was that Peele fish, or what was the name of it? What did
it just had a person's name like Leo Peele or Lee
okay.
Peele. And just hold a second.
Okay.
I think it's upstairs. You know what I'm talking about?
So
you had it framed or something.
Yeah.
Piece of stuff there.
So it was stenciled on there, the name, and it was, how did it get to New York?
They had a freight boat called the Hatteras.
Oh, okay.
And they would put and boat it across the Seine. It was packed in sawdust and ice.
Okay. And do you know what the big species, what they targeted?
Croakers, trout, and flounders.
Okay.
And bluefish. This is what it looks like.
Oh, wow.
And that's where it went to. And this was my grandfather's name, and it was stenciled in New York.
Wow. That is something. It really is.
And
that is great that you have that.
Down the road here where Bobby Scarborough lives, you know, Leon's brother.
Yes.
He was remodeling that house, and he found it in between the walls and gave it to me.
Oh my goodness. How old do you think that is? Any guesses?
Probably 80 years old or more.
Isn't that something?
And and my uncle and everybody around here had them. All the fishermen had their own stencils when they shipped fish. I cleaned the old house out there and found one for Zach Austin.
I didn't know that.
In a house. Mm-hmm. That's how.
So it didn't go by really a company name. It went by the individual fishermen.
You had different markets that you would send it to, and they would bring big cakes of ice, 300-pound blocks of ice packed in sawdust, and they would shave it and they'd ice it in cartons or wooden boxes, and they would send it.
Isn't that something?
There was no truck off the island. It was all a freight boat.
Right. Amazing. Amazing. So, Do you remember the first time you went commercial fishing and got paid for fishing?
I was just out of high school. I was fishing on the beach with my uncle. We was rock fishing.
With
Nacie Peele.
With Lee? And how did you do that? Was that
How did I get paid?
No, how did you catch the
we
rock?
We launched
fish?
a dory and set net, a
Okay.
nylon net, and we caught rock and we were paid.
Do you remember how big that crew was?
It was me and Barry, me and Lee, probably 5 people.
Okay. And with like 2 trucks on the beach?
You'd set it and you'd pull it in.
Okay.
And when we got the rock, like one time we caught 800 boxes on Cape Point. We pulled them.
Oh my gosh.
Stacked them up on Cape Point.
Wow.
And the fish buyers would come from like, it was Dolan, Donald, and all them would come down and bid on them to get them.
Oh, they would come to the beach.
Because they wanted to fish.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I mean, we'd be taking them by truckloads to a certain Dolan Jr. to a fish house, and Danny Oden would come down and say, I'll give you 45 cents for them. And
how many fish houses do you think there were back then?
Then it was, we had one here, Quality. Donald had one.
Donald Oden.
And Dolan had one.
Dolan Gaskell. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was top dollar.
Top dollar.
Okay. Okay. So, so they came right to the beach because they wanted the fish.
They reminded me of the movies you watch, the old cattle bar, you know, when they come in with cattle drivers. The different beef cattle bars would try to get out there first to get the first bid on the cattle.
Did you continue to work with Lee?
I did, till he died.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Me and him started a company, and I fished with him right on.
Okay.
I was, I think I was 17 years old. I was paid $500 for my shower to fish, and I'd stay on the beach all night with it.
Okay.
Hold the haul.
Do what?
Hold the haul.
Hold the haul.
Yeah, what you do, if you slept where you wanted to haul at in the truck, then the next day it was your first set.
Oh, that was your location.
That was your
That was your spot.
And you might come down there and stay there too. And after I set, then it was your turn to set.
Okay.
But if I left, then it would become your set.
Okay.
Just taking turns.
Okay. Did you ever hear anything? Somebody told me when in the 70s they did some work on the beach, and some of the older guys would talk about fish camps that used to be on the beach.
Up in Buxton, Rocky Rollison had fish camps.
Okay.
That's in between Frisco and Buxton. Up in that area.
Okay.
Yep.
So you worked with Lee. When did you go out on your own?
I want to say like 1987, something like that, 88.
Okay. And what did you do? What type of fishing were you?
Pound nets.
Pound nets. Did you have your own boat?
Yep.
Can you tell me something about that?
It was a 30-foot shad boat. It was built in Buxton by Mike Scott.
Okay.
It's a dead rise round bottom boat. It was built after a boat that was built in 1934.
Okay. And did you buy it from Mike, or did you buy
it from Lee?
From Lee. Okay, from your uncle. I got you. Have you lived any other places besides Hatteras Island?
In 1973, I lived in Columbus, Georgia for 4 years.
What were you doing there?
I was an Army Ranger.
Okay. And was that right after high school? Shortly after high school?
That was in 72. I was married in 72.
Okay.
In 73 we went down there.
Okay. And what was that like, living off the island?
It was fine, but I missed Hatteras.
You did?
I did miss Hatteras. What I did in the Army was real nice. I hadn't planned on going in the Army. I was drafted. I was one of the last ones in Dare County to be drafted. And when my 4 years was up, I had to go in for a talk of re-upping in the Army, re-enlisting. And I told them they could do all the talking they wanted, but I was going to Hatteras.
You wanted to go home.
And I come to Hatteras.
Uh-huh. So what did you do as a ranger? What was your...
I taught other rangers. I parachuted and all that stuff.
Uh-huh. Okay. Have you worked any other jobs besides fishing?
I worked with Hatteras, Cape Hatteras Water Company for a year in 1972.
Just a year?
1 year.
How come just a year?
I was drafted.
Oh, you were drafted to the water plant?
I was drafted from the water plant to the Army.
Okay. Okay. What type of fishing do you do now?
I gill net. I crab. I drop net in the ocean. And I pine net. And did I say gill net?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And gill net in the Sound?
In the Sound.
And what type of boat do you have that you use? I mean, you own more than one boat, right? 2. Okay.
I have a 20-foot skiff that my uncle built. Nacie Peele built it. He built about 30 boats.
Oh, he did?
Mm-hmm. And
are there any other of his boats existing?
This guy over here has one. Remember up in front of by Frank and Franz, that one used to sit up there, that Ryan Stern boat?
Uh-huh.
He built that one.
Okay. Do you know how he learned to build boats?
No. He was a woodworker.
He was?
Mm-hmm. Trial and tribulations, I guess.
Okay.
But he had a good pattern for a boat. Mark Speece has one of his boats. It's that blue one there with a everybody's cabinet shop, a skiff on a trailer with a skiff.
Okay.
That was Nacie's boat.
Okay.
And that's about it around here.
Okay. So you have a 20-foot boat that your uncle built, and what is your other boat that you have?
It's a Carolina skiff, 21 foot. And the one up to the food line that says Dirty Dick's, the crab boat, the little skiff with crab pots in it, he built that boat.
Okay. Okay. And the Carolina skiff, is that...
It's a fiberglass.
Manufactured.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So, when you... Do you use both of those boats for fishing now?
I do.
Okay. So, tell me about gill-netting in the Sound. What are the species that you're trying to catch?
Well, we try to catch... Right now, we're trying to catch bluefish and some sea mullets and a few gray trout. You can only sell 100 pound of gray trout.
Okay.
Later on, we hope we can go flounder fishing, but being a red drum, we're targeted. They cut that season out.
Okay, so gill netting in the Sound, do you do that year-round or spring through fall?
It has seasons. Like in April to June, you can gill net for bluefish and a few trout and sea mullets. And then in June and July, you can go out in the Sound and float fish for Spanish mackerel.
Okay. And then how about crab potting? When do you do that here?
We're doing that now. We probably April to, well, you have a cleanup period in February.
Where you have to get the pots,
all the pots out of the water.
Okay.
And after that cleanup is done, then you can set. So you say February, March, until you get tired of it.
Okay. Do you do it all summer?
I didn't last year because we gill-netted for flounders. But they did crab all summer, so this year we're going to attempt to do it.
Okay. How many pots do you
I do 100 right now. I used to do 300.
Okay. And how come you do less now?
It just costs so much to do it. A new pot now costs like $45 a pot.
It's that much now.
Yeah.
My goodness, I had no idea.
So.
And what is that? How do you get a new pot? How do you?
You contract people to build them, or you
Uh-huh.
have people that make them. This guy over here makes them.
So it's the wire frame.
And you can buy them in all stages of completion.
Okay.
But the more somebody else does, the more you pay.
Okay. And what kind of bait do you use for a crab pot?
We use menhaden, and we use scrap fish that these fish cleaning stations throw away, like the carcasses.
Okay. Is there a preferred bait, or do you think
Cheap, free bait.
cheap and free?
You know, used to for crab bait, it might cost you $5 or $10 for 100 pound of bait, but now it costs $20 for a 60 pound of bait.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the expenses with crabbing have really shot up.
And the crab prices are real high.
They are?
Real high.
Why is that?
There are not many crabs.
Here or
all
everywhere?
All over.
Okay.
All over. The matter of fact, I was told the other day that the people in Virginia are asking for federal help because they can't make a living crabbing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, and I know up in Maryland they're having a hard time.
So are your crabs headed up there? Is that where they
Where
go?
they go, yep.
Okay.
But last year we had some friends that lived in Maryland, and they knew the truck driver that delivered our crabs to the Maryland crab houses up there.
Okay.
So the people in Maryland bought North Carolina crabs, thought they were Maryland crabs, you know.
Yeah, I wonder if they were advertised as Maryland
probably
crab.
local crabs.
Uh-huh.
You know, sometimes around here, they, if you go to a certain place, you say it's a local oyster. For instance, I buy it from you. You tell me it's a local oyster because you buy it from Ocracoke.
Uh-huh.
The Ocracoke buys it from Rose Bay, and Rose Bay gets them from Texas or Louisiana.
Right. So, yeah, the definition of local.
Right. They're not lying when they say it's local because they bought it local.
Right.
They weren't caught local.
Exactly. Yeah.
Big difference.
You have to go right back to the original source.
Terminology can change a lot of things.
So, tell me about pound netting. What are you trying to catch in your pound nets?
The only pound netting I do now is for flounders.
Okay.
And
that's in the fall?
In the fall, from about the last of September to the 1st of December.
Okay.
Then they close.
Okay. Did you used to do other types of pound netting?
We used to fish from May to October for summer pound nets, for croakers, trout.
And how come you don't do that anymore?
The croakers don't show up here anymore.
Any idea why?
I'm not an expert. It has to do with water quality.
Okay.
The fish come right on by us and keep going north.
Okay.
It's just like the mackerel. You know, some years, you know, when I was young growing up, if you caught a Spanish mackerel north of Oregon Inlet, it was a rare occasion. And now they catch them all the way to New York.
And why is that? Because of...
It has to do with water quality.
Do you think like the temperature of the water?
Temperature and the salinities and stuff like, you know, Rob measured the dead water, the oxygen in the water, and we have trouble with that in the science. Some places you can set a crab pot and overnight all your crabs are rotten in your pot.
Wow. Whoa.
Because the the water's warm and the oxygen leaves it and they die and they rot.
So they sort of suffocate in there?
Suffocate in your pot.
Ooh. That's discouraging.
Yep.
Do you see a lot of that?
Not really, not lately.
But you have seen it.
Oh yes, I have.
And how would that be? A whole string of pots or
No.
scattered?
Just certain little location, like when you first come out of the breakwater, from the breakwater down almost to where the ferries come out from the ferry dock. In that area, they would die overnight, and then a little ways out the channel, coming this way, they would die. Maybe 10 pots in a 50-pot string, they would die.
Would it have something to do with maybe further out there's more wave action?
No.
No, that isn't it?
It's just like it's like bodies of water drifting around, and that's
okay.
We sometimes we thought it might be like underground artesian wells or freshwater wells or seepages. But out in the Sound, a lot of times that dead water during the summer pushes over, and the boys that are shrimping or mackerel fishing try to stay on one side of that dead water.
Okay. So when you saw your crabs, did they go on the same truck with Jeffrey's fish?
No, they're Frog Island Seafood come picks them up now.
And where are they from?
Elizabeth City, Currituck.
Okay.
And then they ship them.
Okay.
They have a lock on them down here. They buy them all. And it's used to, if you didn't have 10 pallets of crabs, 5 pallets of crabs, a crab truck wouldn't come get them. They'll come get them for a half a pallet. 500-pound of crabs, they'll come get them.
Because they're in that
crabs.
demand so much.
Yeah.
Interesting. So the fish you catch, though, that goes on the truck.
Every day that fish is
You
shipped
lease
out.
the fish house to
Right.
Jeff Aiken,
Right.
Jeffrey's Seafood,
Right.
and the fish, that goes on a truck
Every
to...
Juan Cheese to New York and all points north.
Okay. Have you ever participated in any other fisheries? You've done some oystering, haven't you?
I did oyster.
Uh-huh.
But the oysters have died up.
Okay. Did you oyster right here off of Hatteras?
Yeah, the state planted a bed right off here, and we oystered there until some disease killed them. And that was real good for a year. Now they've planted another bed, and maybe in 2 years it'll be better.
Okay. Ever do any shrimping?
I shrimp 2 days.
2 days.
And the crew told me I made more money than they did.
Oh.
I was hard as a header to head them.
Okay.
And I didn't know how to head shrimp, like a pro does. And,
right.
So when you catch shrimp, you have to head them or they spoil.
Okay.
And so we weren't catching a lot of shrimp, but we was catching few, and they had to jump in and help me head them. And when we got finished with, I think we spent one night out. We come in, they give me like a 5-pound bag of shrimp to take home, and I think we caught 10 boxes of shrimp. I made $100 because I got $10 a box to head them, and they made $100 a shower from the shrimp boat. I made more money than they did, and they did my work.
Okay.
That was with Leon Jeanette.
Okay. Okay. If you had to pick your favorite gear or favorite fishing, could you pick one that you like better than the others?
I like gill-netting.
You do?
I do.
Why?
Because it's a different variety every day in your nets. Something different.
Okay.
I mean, I like pine netting, but I like gill-netting.
What are the hardest things about being a commercial fisherman? What are the biggest challenges?
The government rules, getting people to understand that this is our way of livelihood, to live and eat, and it enables us to go different places to spend our money to support other people.
Okay.
You know, we go stay in hotels
Right.
or eat in restaurants miles away, and but it's a way of living, and people don't understand that. They put these regulations on us and not really thinking about the repercussions, what it does on us. They can just see that they're stopping something, and they have not thought it over. Like, reason we're not fishing gill nets for flounders now, because they said we've caught too many red drum last year.
Okay.
We have a 155,000 quota of red drum, and what I don't really understand is every day the fish house reports what red drum they caught that day or the day before.
To the Division of Marine Fisheries.
It's computerized. They
should have a real-time accounting.
They should have it. So when it got to 140,000 pounds, they stopped it.
Uh-huh.
And then when they did all the tallies, it was 280,000.
Okay.
So why was it not stopped sooner? You know, so that throws a lot of restaurants, waitresses, and fishermen, everybody out of business.
Do you know when that'll reopen?
September.
Okay.
And see, now they're getting ready to do a proclamation that we can catch maybe 5 when it opens, but now it's still open to what they call runaround gill nets, people that are mullet fishing.
Okay.
And they said they don't target red drum. But if a boat's going down and sees a school of red drum, he's going to circle and catch them.
Uh-huh.
And if they would go through the tickets and look how the red drum were caught, they would see probably 80% of red drum were caught by runaround boats, not gill nets. But see, the gill net is getting the blame for it. And the reason they're not opening it till September, flounder season, is they know we catch drum with our flounders. So if we can't sell the drum, we're going to throw them back.
Okay.
And probably a percentage of them are dead.
Okay. So not all of them would survive.
Right. So to keep us from having a mortality rate of drum, they just say no flounders. But the runaround boats are still going to be able to fish.
And do we have runaround boats here?
Oh, yeah.
We do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they will be able to bring in 5, did you say?
5 or 10.
Okay.
But see, I was told, I think it's 85% of the red drum quota was caught in wanchis. And they didn't have a bycatch with them.
Oh, okay.
They know the wanchis broke the law.
Okay. So, do you think when these regulations are formalized or created, do you think that the regulators consider the impact on, say, the smaller commercial fishermen and smaller fishing villages?
No, they don't. And what it is, if you got 50 people that are flounder gill netting, it's kind of hard to put a regulation out that's going to put, say, 50 people out of work.
Mm-hmm.
But if they stop gill netting a little bit here and there, and somebody in 50 quit fishing, and then all of a sudden it goes down to like 20 fishermen or 10 fishermen, they can say, oh, well, it's not going to be a big impact. We can shut it down altogether.
Okay. So that's how they would calculate the impact. They would go, Well, it's not that many people doing it anymore.
And you can look around. A lot of people that used to fish are cutting grass, doing something else.
Could you do that? Cut grass or clean pools
fish.
or something?
I could.
Uh-huh.
But I won't fish.
Okay. You think you'll always fish?
Oh, I don't see why not.
Okay. What would be your prediction for the future of fishing here in Hatteras?
I believe we're going to be able to fish. It's going to be specialized fishing. It's my intention to have my fish house there no matter what. It's going to have to be real bad that we can't keep it open. And
why do you feel so strongly about that?
Well, what, to keep it open?
Uh-huh.
We have
a lot of people would just say, well, this is an aggravation. I'm going to sell this.
I got you that. But I have a lot of fishing history in my blood. The guy that leases it does not have fishing history in his blood.
Uh-huh.
It's a business to him.
Right.
It's a business to me, but it's a livelihood.
Uh-huh.
And my roots go stronger than just selling it out and putting a condo there.
So it's more than a business to you, it's also your heritage, I guess.
It's my heritage, and it'd be a very disservice to the other guys that wanted to fish, like your husband. Mm-hmm. Where is he going to tie his boat up at? If there's a condo there, historically, wherever a commercial man tied his boat up at, and a business went in there, that man abruptly had to move.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
we were like this here, and we're slowly going down like that. I mean,
you mean the space is shrinking?
Teachers Lair was majority commercial boats, and now there are only about 5 or 6 commercial boats come in there.
That's all.
Few.
Wow.
Hatteras Harbor was full of commercial boats,
mm-hmm.
big boats. You know, like can't think of his name now. Rob probably fished with him. David something. He married Linda, a midget.
David Price?
David Price.
Uh-huh.
You know, they fish big boats, you
right.
know. And then you come all the way up our little creek here, all on the shores, where people were commercial boats, and they don't even want you to tie up there.
Uh-huh.
So, it's...
because there's more demand for the waterfront?
Recreational.
Uh-huh. So I guess that would be another challenge for the fishing industry.
You know, I had a newspaper, and I wish I could get it back. I want to say it was the Coastland Times or the Grit or something, but it was in the 60s. It was the headlines that said Hatteras Island would never be a major tourist spot. Commercial fishing was
really
of its livelihood, and we lent the newspaper out to some lady, and she never returned it. But the tourist industry reminds me of people bringing in like the kudo vine that helps stabilize banks.
Right.
So we're bringing in tourism, and it's smothering the commercial man.
Okay.
It's like
that's
a plague.
an analogy
like
people
plague,
can understand.
You know, and, it's slowly overtaking us, and ain't nothing we can do about it.
So, a little bit ago you said probably the future of fishing, it would be more specialized.
Well, you've been to Florida, and you know Florida was a very big commercial fishing areas, and now a lot of the fish markets for the small guys, they have to go to a parking lot and pack their fish out. They take their boat and stuff right to the parking lot and pack their fish into a tractor trailer, like for the mullets.
Okay.
They go around and find they know where the markets are.
So there isn't any fish house per se?
Not many. One here and one there.
Okay.
Because there are no need for, there are not that many commercial people.
Well, Do you think that there'll always be enough fishermen here to keep the fish house operating?
I believe so. In my mind, Teachers Ladder's for sale. It's been for sale.
Okay.
If somebody wanted to buy it, $25 million, I heard.
Okay.
The next fish house up would be Tillman's Fish House, Barry Austin.
Avon Seafood.
And he's relayed to me that he wants to put 2 houses there.
Okay.
So then,
So really, the property you own, that fish house, could be the last fish house
it could be
standing.
in Hatteras. Hatteras. And Tillman had one in Buxton. And
in Avon.
In Avon. And he only had 1 or 2 fishermen up there.
Why is that?
They've done other stuff.
Okay.
There are no young people getting in it.
Because of these challenges?
The challenges, they're getting older. More aches and pains to do stuff. They retire. I mean, you take our fish house right now over there, and the average age right now is probably 56, 57 years old, maybe 60.
And I think I've read that's about what it is for North Carolina farmers, too.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if you don't have no input, after a while, it's a dead horse.
So what are young people here doing?
Living off their daddy's money.
Okay.
It's just that we do have a young person that comes in every once in a while, and he can make a go at it if he works hard and he has a wife that helps him.
That's second income.
That's second income. Jeremy, he's doing real good fishing. Todd's doing good fishing. Just living on fishing is tough.
Okay. Yeah. Because it isn't that steady paycheck.
No, you make you get rich this week and you're poor the next week. And you have to learn to budget it out. It's just because you made $3,000 a day, you don't spend it. It might be 20 days before you make $1.
Exactly.
So it's just
it's irregular income. You do.
But the regulations are killing us. Commercial fishing when I was doing it was you could catch anything that swam in the water. Now you got to have a certain. North Carolina don't want to be limited entry fisheries, but it is. If you don't have a mackerel permit, you can't fish.
Okay, you have to have those federal permits.
Right, and right now I couldn't go in the ocean and go fishing for mackerel. I don't have a mackerel permit.
Okay.
I couldn't go fish with sharks. You don't have a shark permit.
And that's very different than when you started out.
Yeah, I would come and go king mackerel fishing with the guys, or get on a gill net boat or a pound net boat, and you could catch. You had size limits of what size flounder you could catch, and mackerel and stuff like that, and you adhered to it, and it done real good. But then now they want a management plan for every kind of fish they are. So
what's the attraction of fishing? Why do you stay in it?
I guess it's a new horizon every day.
You never know what's going to happen.
You never know what. I mean, we went out 2 days ago to set a gill net just to catch some fatbacks for crab bait. And we caught a lot of bluefish and trout. So I don't know what we're going to do on crabs. So we want to go gill netting and not crabbing. Because you're making more money. It's, money.
And you say we. Who's we?
Me and Tony Burbank.
Okay.
Runs Avon Seafood.
Okay. Your wife, Claudia, has done some fishing.
My wife, Claudia, was a bookkeeper for Jeffries that leases my fish house. And I had a good fortune to have an uncle that passed me some help, and so she retired.
Okay.
And now she probably works harder than she did at Jeffries.
Why?
Physical work.
What is she doing?
She goes out and crabs with me.
Oh, she crabs.
She crabs and gill nets with me. She goes out. She bakes the pots, culls the crabs.
Did she want to do this, or did you talk her into it?
No, did Rob tell you what to do?
Not usually.
Not usually.
Yeah.
No, she kind of said she wanted to do it.
Okay. So tell me about that.
Because if I didn't get her to do it, then I'd have to get one of my nephews or somebody else to kind of help me.
Right.
And so now it's nice. She goes out with me and helps me, and if she has something real pressing to do, she can do it. But basically, she goes with me every day.
And did you have to teach Claudia how to do all this?
We're still in the teaching process.
Okay.
No, she, I showed her how to bake the pots and cull the crabs, and she culled the crabs, and as I dump them, the conchs, the male and the female and the conchs, and she bakes the pots, and then when I'm moving them, we stack them up. She unstacks them, helps me set them, and then when we gill net, she pulls one line, I pull the other. I pick the fish.
And do you work well together?
At times.
Uh-huh.
As long as I don't boss her around.
Okay. Well, I think that's great. I mean, there aren't very many women who
No.
fish. Paul Dunn's daughter, Shannon.
She's doing good.
Yeah, she's
doing real good. Now, Carol Etheridge was a big fisherman.
Yeah, she was, wasn't she?
Her and Melody that works at the liquor store.
Melody Schwartz?
Yeah, she used to gill net and crab pot.
She did. I didn't know
years
that.
ago. You ask her.
I will.
Yep. I don't know if she worked with Carol or not. But I know she had her little boat, and they crabbed too.
Okay.
Yeah. And
but really, there've been very few women.
Tammy Gregg, Tillman's wife.
Okay.
She does. Now, up in the Currituck area, a lot of women crab and gill net.
Huh.
Yep.
Now, I wonder how come more women up there.
They might have lazy husbands.
Or,
They probably grew up in a family with a lot of brothers that fished and fathers that fished. When I first come, well, not when I first, but when Mullen Haskett's come down here, he had 2 daughters.
Uh-huh.
And they worked just as hard as any man.
Uh-huh.
They went in the woods and cut pine net poles. They lined net. They went out there and stuck the poles, set the net, coppered the net, and fished. And they were young girls. They were like 16, 15 years old.
My goodness.
They shouldn't have been doing it. But he didn't have no boys to help him.
Uh-huh.
And he did like that till he got his foot in the door, and then he hired some help. But them girls worked real hard.
Right.
One's married to Clyde Stowe at Connor.
Right. Yeah, Lisa.
And one's married to Mark Space.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, because
they can tell you.
There really aren't too many women who have done that type of work around here.
In my time around here, Russell Quidley's wife, Gail, was a big fishing.
She was?
Yes, she did. And Flossie Schwartz,
Okay.
she worked hard. Gail was a hard worker. Gail mended nets, stuck stakes.
Interesting. I didn't know that about her.
Yeah. She can tell you some stories.
Did not know.
And I guess growing up, I heard people saying, we don't eat fish because we had to eat it so much growing up. Which their daddy had a grocery store. They had beef. We eat fish.
Is that what you ate growing up?
We eat a lot of fish.
Uh-huh.
And I love fish.
Do you have any particular types that
Fish.
different species?
I like a jumping mullet when it's during the summer when it's a little bit fat.
Okay.
Flounder is probably my least fish.
Why is that?
It's a dry fish.
Okay.
But I do like flounder. I mean, I guess a mullet and a bluefish is my best fish. If it's, fresh.
Okay.
Fresh does mean a lot.
Do you eat crabs?
I love crabs.
Oysters?
Everything. I sit under the house with 8 crabs and 2 beers.
Okay. So, how do you like your fish prepared, cooked?
I like it boiled, fried, and on the grill.
Okay, so pretty much any way.
Raw, anyway.
Do you ever eat stewed crabs? Or
I like stewed crabs. Pie bread, potatoes.
So, stewed crabs, that's dough in there with
Right.
this?
That's a pie bread. It's
Okay.
a dough, a dumpling.
Okay.
When we grew up right here, there was 4 children, and some year my father might make $3,000 the whole year.
Okay.
That's not and 4 children, so that's where a lot of I think stews come in. Like over in overseas, stir fries. The Chinese people have a lot of stir fries.
Right.
So they have a lot of vegetables.
Right.
And you take 2 bluefish would feed 8 people no problem because you put a lot of potatoes and dumplings in it
out.
and the gravy and it stretched it out.
Yeah.
But we didn't eat a lot of stewed crabs till we got older because my mother didn't like to pick crab meat for us. She would. But a fish bone, a piece of fish with a bone is no more than eating a watermelon with a seed in it. Something to me.
Right.
And some people, they get a bone, they quit eating fish.
Did you have your family have gardens, vegetable
We had a big
gardens?
garden.
So pretty much growing up, you lived off the land and the
Pretty
sea.
well. Yeah, I have trying a garden over there, and I'm not good as my uncle. But I got tomatoes and lettuce and all that stuff. And matter of fact, I got to turn my greens off. That's what we've been cooking. And we have in this box out here, we got some. My wife planted some mustard. And have you ever eaten a raw piece of mustard green?
Not raw. Raw.
Do you like mustard?
Yes, I love mustard.
I got to show you something here. Now that's a piece of a mustard green. Just taste a piece of that little stem like down there. Is it hot?
Not yet.
How about the stem?
It's getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, but it tastes like mustard.
That's what they make mustard out of.
Yeah, it tastes just like mustard. It took a while to kick in, but...
So we have mustard greens, Swiss chard, and kale mix.
Okay. So
Did you put them spinach in there, babe?
Yep, I did.
You good lady.
Tell me about... growing up, were there any kind of seafood dishes that you ate that you cannot eat now because of rules or regulations?
My best dish that we do not eat are 2 dishes. Turtle hash. Well, I love turtle hash. and fried or and sturgeon hash.
Okay.
Fried or stewed sturgeon.
And both of those you can't eat now because it's illegal to catch
Very
those?
illegal. Oh, yes,
Okay.
it is. Can't even look at them.
And the turtle, how do you clean the turtle?
Well, a turtle is, say, this big. The only meat in a turtle is right where the leg goes in the shell. Inside the shell, there's no meat.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Okay,
You
so...
can take where the leg goes in a turtle, you can cut around the leg like that, and go in there, and it's got like a bone that goes in here to the back shell, like a knuckle joint.
Okay.
And you can cut that out and pull that bit right out. They know.
Okay, I didn't realize
and
that.
You have 2 front legs and the 2 back legs, and there's just a little bit of meat right around your back legs, but in between the legs, no meat at all.
Did not know that. Okay, well that makes it a little bit more reasonable as far as getting the meat out of a turtle
I always
shell.
heard that. Now, a loggerhead turtle has meat in between the shells. That's why they're hard to preserve.
Oh.
The plates.
Okay.
Now, I used to have one around here someplace. The other turtle shells, like the Ridley's turtle, is a bone shell that you can preserve in.
Okay. What personality traits or qualities do you think you should have to be a fisherman? What are the characteristics that make a good fisherman?
I guess I say you got to be patient. My wife might say I'm not.
Uh-huh.
You got to be understanding. The main thing, you got to be positive.
Positive.
If you're not positive, you don't do good.
And then, changing the subject a little bit, can you tell me a little bit about the most memorable storms or hurricanes you've been through? If you had to pick, the top one.
To me, I guess Emily was, where I had 8 inches of water in my house.
8 inches of water in this house? Okay.
That was before it was raised, though.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. And that was, I think, 1993, maybe?
Right.
Did all of the village get it bad?
I'm going to say water was probably in 70% of the houses.
And some of the houses like yours have been raised since then.
Right.
Okay. How about Isabel?
Isabel, my front yard didn't get wet.
Really?
Right.
Because it was more of an ocean.
Well, when the ocean come through, it hit the slash, and the water went that way, out on each end of the slash. When water is pushed, it builds till it can go around or over.
Okay.
So water would come in and it went out the slash, and then up here by the funeral home, there was a little, where Linda Meekins lives, there was a little creek out that might have been 20 foot wide and maybe a foot deep. And when it went by, the creek all of a sudden got like almost 80 to 100 foot wide and 30 foot deep.
Oh my goodness.
And it was under her house probably 20 foot. Her house almost fell in.
Oh my goodness.
So the water, it went into the low spots and funneled around, like here where Homer Starn lives, across from Chris Hickman. It all the way across that road, all the way to Homer's front yard. How the water went over the road so fast.
Okay. So, and then Emily, the water
Come from the sand.
came from the sound. Okay. So.
See what happened during all the other storms we've had. Jeff Aiken stayed at his house behind the channel bass, and he got flooded every time.
Uh-huh.
So Emily come through. Isabel he said, we're going to go out to the beach because it never gets tide.
Oh, dear.
So
Yeah.
they caught it and it was out there, and they stayed out there, and Jeff has a video of he walking up and down, this is how high the water is, and this and that, and in a few minutes or time elapsed, and he takes another picture, it's almost to the door, and come on guys, let's get some towels and put under the door and keep the water sopped up, don't let it get too bad in here. Then another time elapsed frame that goes in, and bunk beds and everything washing around downstairs.
Oh dear.
I mean, it is vomit down there.
Well, I guess every storm is different.
Yeah, and then they had a house that was a little across the road down the ways that washed right off the foundation was coming at them. But it hung up on a hill.
Well, after Isabel, when there was the cut, for a while there, what I heard up in Buxton, people were calling that MichaelPeele Inlet.
I was the first one across it. Yeah.
Why did you do that?
I had a Carolina skiff with a jet motor.
Okay.
And we was out riding around looking, and we rode out to the inlet, and it's that old house or the house that washed out, and you go inside the house into the living room or kitchen, and they had a cupboard there that the dishes were still in that cupboard.
No way.
Cups, saucers, and plates.
You're kidding me.
What are they bad?
Wow.
Yeah, I used to take a lot of people. You go right into the house because the wall.
In your boat.
In the boat, you go underneath the house, and it was sitting out in, I don't know how deep of water, but it had cups and saucers and everything right in the cupboard, cabinets.
Incredible. And what was that like after that storm? How long was it before the highway was fixed? A couple months?
Thanksgiving.
And that storm happened in September, so
right.
Probably about 3 months.
And see, and that was another bureaucracy. They had to go find the right kind of sand to pump in that inlet.
Oh.
The consistency of the sand.
Okay.
I mean, to me, this island is built out of the same sand from Oregon Inlet, the Ocracoke Inlet. But they had to find the right consistency, like red sand, white sand, or fine sand, or coarse sand.
Right.
And then they had to bring in these pads to put on the grass so the pipes could lay on them and not smash the grass. A lot of red tape.
Okay. Was that difficult being down here in the village, cut off?
Actually, no. We lived pretty good.
You did?
Food Lion, Outback. A lot of people shipped food into us, and we eat at a community center by the post office.
Oh, so you had community meals?
We had a big, I would cook barbecues, I'd cook steaks, I had a pig cooker down there, and we'd cook and make barbecues and steaks, and the Baptist people coming out would cook for us. Somehow they got Mike Kelly over here, and he catered a big dinner for us, and different things.
Okay. Did you have electrical power?
No.
No.
No electric.
Okay. When you were a kid, were there any storms that you remembered?
I want to say I remember the Ash Wednesday storm. That was in '63. Only reason because we couldn't go to school that day.
Okay.
But other than that, to me, a hurricane's a fascination. I mean, Claudia, it bothers her, the wind blowing, and I feel safe here.
Okay. So,
I mean,
you probably grew up with them. And
I've been in this house since 1950. I want to say 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've seen a lot of storms and you've seen a lot of weather.
You can relate one thing. I mean, sometimes an oak tree's been through a lot of storms. Then all of a sudden a storm comes and it dies.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know when your house is going to get bad or hurt or whatever. But yeah, I'm always positive that when it's blowing, you don't even hear it much.
When you were a kid, did you ever envision that Hatteras Island would grow as much as it has?
No. When I was going to school, I knew everybody's house from my house to the school who lived in it.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And we used to, we had games. You'd sit there and name them off.
Uh-huh.
But there weren't that many people. In 72, I worked with a water company, and I could read the water meters in Hatteras and almost all the Friscoes in one day.
Oh, that's pretty telling.
And then the next day I read Buxton's water meters. Now I guess it takes them 2 days to read Hatteras or more.
Yeah, that's pretty telling as far as the amount of development that you've seen through the years.
And you take somebody like Eve, he's 94 years old, and he's seen a lot of comings and goings.
I'm sure he has. Yeah. Well, you have too.
I have. Yep. Matter of fact, me and Miss Peele, we crossed a milestone the other day. We signed up for Social Security.
Oh my goodness! Congratulations.
Matter of fact, she has a phone right there. Well, I guess it's called an iPad, iPhone, or smartphone, whatever it is. And it's got a countdown.
Oh, that's
when
great.
She's gonna get her check.
That's
how many days and how many hours and minutes?
Fantastic. Well, I guess that's one of the perks of getting older, right?
We guess.
Yeah.
But it's just the only reason I guess I really want to draw Social Security, I want to get in the system before they cut it out.
Good idea. Mm. Well, thanks, Michael.
No problem.
I appreciate it. Appreciate your time.
And next time you see Melanie, ask her about her crabbing.
I will.